Hello, welcome back to my Let's Play for Starbase Alpha, Closed Alpha I should say. This is episode 6. So as you can see, not much has gotten done since my last video. In fact, I've been pretty busy and haven't had much of a chance to play too much Starbase. I've been starting up some game development and been focused on that. I do want to get a video out there, so I thought what we might do a little bit differently, since I haven't shown it very much, is just kind of record myself doing some edits here and some of my thought process through it. Probably chop it up a little bit. Hopefully it'll be useful to somebody and at least get a chance to see some more of this, the ship editor here. So what I'm trying to do with this, the strike craft, this is our strike craft that's going to have the 8 turrets on it that focal point onto the rangefinder, is we want it to be able to hit hard and take a few hits. We need it to be agile, but it doesn't need to be the fastest, most agile thing in the world, although that would be better than not. So right now I have positioning for the turrets and the cockpit, obviously. So what we need to do is build out this fuselage a little bit, probably expand on the sides so that we can get some good leverage for spinning the ship with thrusters, and then further back so that we can get good leverage for yaws for our maneuvering thrusters, and then of course we need to get plenty of forward thrusters, make sure our ship can get from 0 to max speed as reasonably as possible. So for right now, we're just working on closing out these ribs. So let's see, what would be a good way to do that? So maybe start with a 96. See how that does. Was that a perfect fit? Not quite. We are off by, looks like 12 centimeters. So in that situation, that means you need to have 136 length, which is, so basically all the beams come in multiples of 24 with the exception of 36, which is 24 plus 12. So if you have a space where you have 12, which happens occasionally, then you need to have a 36 and then place other ones around it. So for instance, what we might do is place maybe some 72s. Probably aim for having the 36 in the center here. And then let's see. Probably be like what, 24, 36. Yep, just like that. So they do have intersection beams, but you don't have to have them to be able to have an intersection. Just as long as the beams faces connect fully, then you should be able to weld them together without any issues. I haven't noticed not using intersections, but just having beams crossed like this, having any issues with structural durability. So it should be just fine. Are these ribs even on both sides? They are not. Sure, these are mirrored. Maybe we'll do that one up. Yeah, that looks good to me. Alright, so one thing to keep in mind with these ribs is that the plating goes from the just about to the very top of the rib to the very bottom, so you actually don't want to use these end pieces as joints, unless of course the joint is just between the ribs. Otherwise, the plating won't cover it, and I'll give you an example of that. That's one of the things I've run into with some of my builds, especially on the ore transport. I had that problem, which is why some areas don't actually have plates. It wasn't just because I liked it; it was because I couldn't get them in. So for the angled beams, it's usually one size larger or so than the actual angled beam. So this is a 108 by 108, so we'd want the 120. The widest one is the 96. Bring it in, we can hit our X and Y's to tilt it around. So as you can see, it goes straight from the very tippy top of the the rib, the angled beam here, the very end of the angled beam. So if you can't jut anything out going perpendicular to the rib, otherwise the plate won't be able to sit correctly. And there's not enough small pieces that you could easily work around it. So it's best to make sure that when you're using these ribs, to only have beams connecting from horizontally, not perpendicular, or whatever it's called, parallel, that's the word. So in this case, the other thing I could do is, rather than have one long piece, is I could do small pieces between these, and that would help reinforce this rib. Either way kind of works, so it's kind of up to your preference. In this case, I think maybe we'll try it, because then I'll give a little bit more structure. It feels like it would give more structural durability at least, and it gives more mounting points for the plates. So if we go to our straight beams, X, Y, 96 isn't quite the right size here. It's a little bit big by 24, so that should be a 72. Yep, just like that. And then this guy is 24 too wide, so that would be a 48. So it's all increments of 24. And then you can use the mouse wheel to scroll in a little bit, and you can also move your view port to help kind of position it, but it doesn't always quite match up. So is this a 48 or a 36 up there? You can hold shift and drag the positioning arrows, and that will make a copy. So that looks more like a 36. Yeah, I like this better than the odd number of parts that we had before. We can hold shift, drag all those pieces after we select them, bring them right over because it's mirrored. Just like that. So we have a nice grid here for the plating to attach to, and then it helps keep things structurally sound. So one thing I haven't quite figured out is how we're going to work on the sides here. So when you have a ship, the key things that you really need to pay attention to are the center of mass. That's probably one of the most important bits, because dependent on where your center of mass is going to determine where you want to position your maneuvering thrusters to maximize their maneuverability. The closer you are to the center of the mass, the less effective your maneuvering thrusters are going to be at creating yaw, pitch, and roll. So if you want the most roll, you want to have like wings out to the side so that it can push up and down on those wings, which will spin you around the center. Same for each of these points. If you want to be able to do lots of yaw, then you need to have a couple here at the very front of the ship, and you need to have a couple at the very back, and then that'll help them yaw. And then same for pitch, you need to have some on the front that go up and down, and then some on the back that go up and down, and that'll help it pitch around the center of mass, which will eventually probably be back here once we start adding more to the fuselage, especially once we add the thrusters. So the only thing I don't like about the ship is it's very thick because of the size of the height of the cockpit. But I think that should be okay, and I do kind of like the cockpit once it's finished. I think it'll look pretty nice. I think I'm gonna get rid of these stubs, and it's just gonna sit out here like this. And it has a cool little hatch here, which I like. And then it will. So let's see. So I'm thinking maybe like a bird of prey sort of profile with wings that kind of go down like this, and those will give us some leverage for spinning it. And then theoretically, angled armor is better than not angled armor. I don't know if that actually holds true with the calculations. I don't think it does. But yeah. So, and then for the back portion, I don't know if we just want like one big circular thruster, like if we wanted to take one of our nacelles and just install it inside of the ship. want the Mark III. Certainly give it plenty of forward speed. Just to have kind of a general example here of how we could lay it out. But since it is supposed to be a strike craft, it might be better to use triangle thrusters than box thrusters. They're not as efficient as box thrusters, but you can get a whole lot more of them in a small area than you can box thrusters, which is kind of a requirement for fighters, is to keep your profile small but maximize your forward thrust. So as you can see, if we arrange it in that formation, it'd be pretty big. So I don't think that would be what we'll do. What we might do then, want to like taper it down. I don't know. I think we'll go extend backwards for sure. So I think what the next step would be to put bars here. So using our beams here. I think this is way too big. Whoops. I hate it when I get like this. I don't know how to reset it when you're pulling it out of the toolbox. If somebody happens to know that, please let me know. This is the only way I know of, is to reset it and then like delete it, and then I think the next one should be the right. Nope. I'm sure we'll figure it out. Alright, so that plus this. That's like, again, it's not quite, looks like it's, is that a 24 or a 12? Almost looks like it could be a 12. I don't think a 72 will fit. No, that's got to be a 36 plus like a 24, I think. Or I don't know. 36 plus a 48 maybe? Yep. But we probably want a cross beam here, or two. So what we could probably do like whatever this is. Whoops, shoot. See? That's a 72, but that's already got a little bit of a chunk into it. So let's do like a 48, and then we'll do a 36 joint. Three-way for now. Z, there we go. Maybe it'd be better to go like this instead. These two right away. Then have another one in between them. So how much space is that? 96? That is one thing I wish they would add, is some sort of a measuring tool. So that's got to be like 12 plus 72. So what if we did like 24, 24, be able to do a 36? A little bit more than 36 in actuality, I think. So favor the top, I guess. We'll just have a larger hole here. 36 right here. And then I don't think we're gonna do joints here, so we'll just extend it out. Like what? 72 plus 48? Yep. Gonna be the same all the way down, so we can just copy those. Shift and drag. There we go. That's a decent grid. This could probably use a little bit more gridding. We might want to move things around because we need probably maneuvering thrusters like right around here. We'll see how it works. It might be okay. Then this can be duplicated across. So there we go. So I got a little bit more gridding there. So then we can start to think about our sides here. So one thing I was thinking about is using angled or special beams, special angles. Oh, these are new, symmetrical. The angle's the same on both ends. Because then you can make like a wing. So if we did something like this, and then what's the special beam look like again? Is there a special plate that goes with that? The 93 by 55, 45 degree. Well, let's do the bigger one. So, okay, so it does have a plate, and it requires every bit of that. So if we do connect it to this, which would have a plate, we would need another bar here. No, we need more than that because in order to fit this plate, it'd have to be kind of weirdly positioned. The other option would be to have like this guy up here. I think would just fit. I don't know if I like that as much though. I think what I might do instead is we do the angle beams. Come on, fit. Like that. And mirror it across both sides. Like so. We want to move it 5 centimeters forward, or not 5, 12 rather. Oh, excuse me, I got a cough. Excuse me. The reason being is if we want to use end plates, we need that little bit of space. So this is a 96, so we'd probably use a 108. Not what I was thinking. I was thinking more of this one. So maybe we won't use this type of beam and we'll use the other one. So I like those the way those ones line up better. That would be the 108. That, and then we want to move back slightly. Add the plates. So now the plate to play nice this close to those other plates. It will. But yeah, so that's the example I was giving, is that you need to have a smidgen of space in order for these to line up correctly. I'm not a super fan of that look, but I think this might not be too bad. Oh, come on. Oh, darn it. There we go. It's totally messing up. There we go. I mean, because I could put some maneuvering thrusters here, and that would at least help slow the ship a little bit. There's not a lot of space here, though. In fact, there's almost no space. Is that a 36 in between? Yep. Yeah, I guess it's okay. 36 there. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could have bar go here. That would at least help make sure that things are a little bit more even. But it's not necessarily required. And I may want something that goes this way. So what we can do is grab this, mirror it. Just like that. And I get a profile. I don't mind that. That's not too bad. And then from this area, we can maybe have struts or something. And then we could put maneuvering tabbies, wings, for doing our rolls. So I think we'll go that route. Then let's see. So we want to have probably more of these guys. Probably, let's see where the plates would be. So the plate would be 96, right? That down. We want 120s. Oh, not end caps. The widest rib. And theoretically, we would just go like this. Go like that. Space between. It's probably like what? Is that 96? I think it's less than 96. Yeah. 2. Exactly 72. That lined up, and then across the top. So, and what we can do is grab this, this, and then we can extend it out, repeat it. And what this outer area could almost kind of be is like a first layer of armor that will help us have extra armor, and then we could have another plates on the inside here if we so choose, or we could just, you know, end this portion here and then just go with the ribs the rest of the way. Either way would work. So we should probably have an upper beam that connects these guys as well, so those would be 72s as well. Cross. to help make sure that there's plenty of structural durability, especially if we start taking shots. Some of the beams get compromised. Then we'll have some structural durability. Grab these and then move it other side and then flip it up. Up. Go. Go. Set it out one more. Matches the other side. There we go. That's a decent shape. I like that profile. I don't know about the inside with it being a box and then the outside being curved. I like that the outside is curved. I suppose what we could almost do, no, because we do want, I don't know, I'm almost thinking of like moving verticals over inside of here. Get rid of these verticals and then have verticals here and here. But I'm not sure. So we'll probably end up having some sort of maneuvering thrusters like here, here, that will try and just attach to the plating. So that we can get some good pitch locations, pitch pivot points. And then we'll put a bunch on the back. So we're still kind of trying to figure out the overall profile. What I'm thinking though is I do like this shape, these ribs. So I could just keep moving these back. And then we'd have space on the back here for thrusters and maybe a ISON quad. And then, so yeah. Could almost maybe fit a maneuvering thruster here and on the bottom, and do the same on this side equally on this back. That will hopefully be enough. Or this will probably be the end, and then we'll probably have something back here for engines, which we still have to figure out. So why don't we look at closing things out here? So what I think we might do, leave this caged as it is because it's reinforcing the turrets, and then we'll just extend out from here. Let's have beams side by side. Basically what we have to figure out though is where to join everything. So what's the distance between these two sides? This is where that measuring tool would come in handy. Let's E2 is almost perfectly in half. It is exactly in half, okay. I mean, really all we'd probably have to do is just do that. Line it up with these. Actually, no, let's cross beams first. So that would be like what? 36? That's 72. Leave it like that for now. I don't think we'll be needing to add any more turrets. The main question is do we want to have this spacing so we can fit more of these large hard points that might make it easier to attach stuff. It looks awfully nice too. But it would require having larger spacing, but I like having everything even up here. It looks nice. I think we'll keep it this way for now. Duplicate it up. So. There. So I almost wonder if we even need wings. Now our center mass should be starting to fall back a little bit. Would we have enough roll capacity on the up, and if we put it to the extents of the armor plates, which would be about like right here. So if we look at our hard point, about like right here, on either side. I mean, it's a decent amount for the center of mass, but the more you are from, but I mean, that's the question is because we could add more thrusters for spinning. Maybe we'll not do wings for now to try and keep the profile slim. And then what we'll do is we'll start working on how would we want to do it. So we got plenty of space in here now. I almost wonder if we should squelch it. No, I don't want to squish it. Reduce the space between the ribs. Because the only thing I'm thinking is that it does kind of make our profile in this direction pretty large. I could almost just move this cockpit back and inside. Like we really don't need this much space in here. So maybe what we'll do is we'll try and keep things compact and put the engines like right here. So if we look at triangle thrusters, which I think, oh no, we could do box thrusters. I think we have enough space. They'd be more efficient than using the triangle thrusters, which require lots of power. Or lots of fuel. I want this guy. Each one of these is... we have quite a bit of space in here. So like... want it as inside our armor as possible. So these are modules. They're a collection of parts because there's a bunch of different parts for the thrusters. So if you hit the green dot, it'll select all the parts in that module, and you can just treat them like a regular part at that point. If we want something like that, that would give us quite a bit of forward thrust. That's 2 million forward thrust. More than enough for a craft this size. I mean, right now, let's weld everything together. Obviously, it's not finished, doesn't have all the onium armor plating or anything like that, but that puts us at what? You can't cut a felt mouse. No. Where is it? It says someplace where our mass is. I forget where though. That something said how much mass it is. Oh, I can't remember where. No matter. Should be fine for now. But the whole point is that, well, that's right. You have to go inside. What was it? You have to like go inside the test mode, and then it'll tell you or something. I'll have to refresh my memory on that. But 2 million thrust should be more than enough for a ship of this size. So we should have plenty of forward speed for getting up to speed in the forward direction that we need. So then the only other thing we need to really worry about is our fuel storage and our power. So right now that's the main issue I can see with the shape of things, is where we're going to store our fuel, which I think is going to be probably right under our turrets here. Right here. Let's see. Propellant. Probably just do one medium propellant tank. That's not too bad. Come on. Come on. There we go. So then that gets us some propellant in there. Then the next question would be power. And then it's got to be accessible as well, so we can get in there and work on it if we need to. Look at generators. I think it's under starter kit. Generator is small. That'd just be easy to do it by hand here. So get the chamber. Isn't it let me? There we go. Maybe we could like put it through the top, because we need access to the fuel rod. So a lot of times what you'll see on ships is they'll have a spot either, oh actually we could probably put it in the back. Oh, we'll fit in the back, perfect. We just do it like this. And then we can just put a hatch here for getting the fuel rod in and out. Yeah, I think that works. And then if we need 2 fuel rods, we could have 2 of these here and just flip them around. Like so. And for the time being, what we do need to do though, I think I like it being on the bottom. And we have it in, so it's a little bit, should be plenty of space for a door, because we'll probably have to put some cross beams in here. Help support the thrusters. What is this? That weird amount again. Yep. Have to do like 96 here. Here. Two here. 36. Across. hinge. Looks like this one would be just big enough for a hatch. Not quite the way I want it. We'll flip it around then. Oh, come on. Flip around. There we go. I think we'd want this actually. No, we wouldn't, because we need to be able to open out. It has to be this version. I mean, too wide. Yeah, so it has to be a 48. Well, how hard would a slider be? No, that wouldn't work very well. Alright. I was just thinking maybe it could slide up and down or something. That would fit very well here. So it has to be a 48 hinge. So it's just barely enough space. So we'll do what we were looking at before. It's just gonna have to start open. A little bit awkward, but it should be fine. So I don't think you can set the initial state. Either got to be come on. There we go. So then we would attach. So let's just make sure that this is going to work, because I don't know. I think you should be able to kind of clip the fuel rods through to replace it. Let's just double check that. Together. Auto bolt what's here already. Test mode. Should be able to, even though it's kind of clipped by these bars here, we should still be able to use our thing to unbolt it. Some reason, because it's test mode. Come on. So let's just get rid of those bolts real quick. Just want to test to make sure that we can grab the fuel rod and pull it out through that hole. Oops, that's not what I want to do. There we go. Yep, so that should work just fine. Looks a little weird, but that fits our size perfectly if we do it this way. There we go. Perfect. This should work perfect for being able to replace the feed rod without any issues. Nice little hatch. Alright, so we need to make sure we have enough power. We need to do quick calculations on how much power it's going to take. So I think we'll be okay with just the one. We'll just attach one generator here. Ooh, these guys need to get flipped around. I'll worry about that later, but basically these need to be flipped around so you can access these enhancers in case they need to get replaced because they break or something, or if you don't want to spawn the ship with them and replace them later, then you want to be able to at least access it from the sides here. We won't worry about that right now, I'll deal with that later. So what we do want to do is we want to add a generator. Attach that here. Oops. There we go. Generator is attached. That is the other thing we need to do, is attach hard points. I didn't think of that. Might not have enough space. We'd have to increase the size if we're going to use box thrusters. So we might indeed have to go with, yeah, I don't think there's quite enough room. That's kind of good because then we can expand this area out to be a little bit better. And that's too bad. Yeah, because these, so basically what it is there's, these guys are a little bit too, I mean, we'd have to attach the hard points to the outside. It'd be really weird. So no, I don't think we can use the box thrusters. They're just a little bit too big for the space that we have available. We'll have to use the triangle thrusters. Yep. Then what we would do is something like right here. Let's pull out of this. So that goes there, and then these guys can connect by their hex points. So each one of these is worth 300,000 thrust. So this is the total of 600 thrust just with this one. 600,000. So the question is how are we going to balance it? How much space is that? So it's 60 is this extra space we have. So that kind of sucks because we can't get them perfectly centered. Very easily. Basically, we'd have to manually do it here. Because we need a space of 30. On either side. Is there anything that is a 30 length? 30 centimeters? I don't think so. The other option is just to let it be a little bit off, which would suck, but I don't think we have much of a choice. this. Back in. I want to get it to snap to this guy. Got it. So it's not perfectly centered, but I don't know how else we're gonna get it in there. Just duplicate it on both sides. It's mostly centered, it's just a little bit too high, so we'll probably see some of our maneuvering thrusters compensate quite a bit for that, but there's not a whole lot we can do about that. See, our center mass has moved back and up a little bit. I think it'll be alright overall. So it's a little bit boxier than I'd like, but with the thrusters inside like this, that'll help protect them from getting hit and add more armor around them to help reinforce them. Yeah. Then can we add any cross beams across the top? Sort of. Guys, and then we can try and reverse bolt some of them in. Hopefully help make sure they're nice and snug in there. It's alright, not great. But at least allow us to have some more structural durability here. And then what we can do is we can also add like flanges and stuff to make it look kind of nice, and then it'll help give us a little bit more protection on our thrusters from the side angles. And then we should still have plenty of space here to pull out the fuel rod. And I think these small thrusters use less electricity. Let me find out. Yep, so they use significantly less power per box triangle thruster, about only 17 point something electricity per second, versus the box thrusters use like 100 something, 140. So we'll have almost no power usage from these, very little power usage from these thrusters, but they do use more propellant than a box thruster, so our range won't be as great. But since it's a heavy strike craft, it doesn't necessarily need to get to the deepest depths by itself, and we could probably figure out a way to get extra fuel in here if we needed to. So yeah, so that, I feel like we did pretty good here. We got it kind of extended out here. We still need to add maneuvering thrusters, so we'll probably add some here and here. It's not a great positioning for yaws, but it'll have to do. And then we'll try and add some maneuvering thrusters, I think here, here, and here, and then on the back here by the thrusters on the top and bottom, and that should help us with our pitch. And then our yaw will be the ones on the side, and then our yol can also be the ones on the top. Hopefully they'll be sufficient, otherwise we'll need to add a little bit of extenders to help make sure we have enough leverage to roll the ship. But overall I'm pretty happy with this progress here. It should hopefully be an effective strike craft. Like right now, budget wise, it's still pretty low. It's only $1 million to build. Very few materials required to build it, but then we still haven't gotten to the nuts and bolts of the main stuff, which would be like the YOLO chips and stuff, piping, wiring, and we haven't added armor plates yet. So what I'm thinking of doing for the armor plates is probably layering multiple layers of onium to maximize the amount of hits it can take before it goes down, or before the shots start to go through into the ship. Or double layer on the outside Aegisium because it's lighter, and then just use onium, which is the high-end material for armor rating, 5.7 versus Aegisium is 2. And just layer those around, say, the thrusters, the box thrusters here, the generator, and the propellant tank. Just so that if those do take a hit, they can take a hit or two before they detonate. Because the outside's not as important necessarily, because taking a hit through the outside doesn't matter. It's just if these guys get hit. So if we could have multiple layers covering this propellant tank and this generator and thrusters, but still use less voxels if we tried to cover the whole ship in onium. And then if we cover the ship in Aegisium, which is lighter than onium, it'll overall help with our overall weight and add us. So then it has to get through the exterior for 4.2 points of the exterior armor value, and then it still has to get through another 5 or 10 depending on how many layers of onium there is. And then the other thing I want to focus on is using smaller plates if I can. The smaller plates, the more plates that there are available to fail. I think I described that in one of my videos previously, is that for instance, if you have, let me turn off materials here. If you have a basic plate, say 72 by 72, if it takes enough hits to fail, this entire area is now unprotected. So if you took this guy, it's the same thing. Yeah, this is easier to place down and bolt, but now if anywhere on this plate takes enough hits to compromise the plates, the whole plate will be compromised. So if we make it a bunch of small plates like these 72 by 72s, then the enemy will have to shoot at each one of these to make the armor fail. So it makes a lot more sense to do lots of small pieces of armor than it does to make one large swath of armor. Hopefully the devs will be able to figure out a way to make up for that, but for now that does seem to be the way to do things based off of the way things are written. So I think we'll end things, and then I'll continue building this over the next week or so, and hopefully we'll be pretty close to finishing it when the next video comes out, and then we can give it a test flight. So thank you for joining me. If you have anything in particular that you want me to record, I know somebody requested an elapse of EOS. I'll try and get that the next week or two as well. But if you have any other things you want me to investigate, be sure to let me know, and I'll see if I can do a recording for you. I would certainly appreciate anybody who's new to the channel to subscribe. It helps, me get an idea of people that are interested in these videos. And yeah, it just would be great. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.